Hello, I'm Carmen Falcon, an AARP New Jersey volunteer, and I want to welcome you today to another AARP New Jersey Fraud Facebook Live. Today we're joined by Anne Marie Preisler, who is a senior counsel in the Market Abuse Unit for the Division of Enforcement in the United States Securities and Exchange Commission's New York Regional Office. Anne Marie began her career at the SEC in 2014 and joined the Market Abuse Unit in 2015. Before joining the SEC, she worked as a prosecutor in the Public Integrity Bureau of the New York Attorney General's Office. Anne Marie, we are thrilled that you joined us today. For our
Thank you.
viewers, oh,
Go ahead.
you're most welcome. For our viewers, we want this to be an interactive discussion. So if you have a question on fraud and scams, please type it in the comments section and we'll do our best to get to it live. So Anne Marie, let's get started. Now, fraudsters are increasingly using social media to scam investors. Can you tell us a little bit about why fraudsters may be relying on social media more and more?
Thanks, Carmen, and thanks for having me on today. Before I begin, I'm going to have to give a disclaimer that these remarks are provided in my official capacity as a senior counsel in the New York Regional Office of the SEC, but do not necessarily reflect the views of the Commission, the commissioners, or other members of the SEC staff. But to get to your question, social media allows fraudsters to contact many people quickly, cheaply, and without much effort. And it's easy for fraudsters to post information on social media that looks real and credible.
Mm-hmm.
Like people can make up credentials about themselves or post entirely fake profiles. In addition, investors are relying more and more on social media for information about investing. And while social media can provide a lot of benefits to investors, it also creates opportunities for fraudsters. Social media may convey false impressions of consensus or legitimacy, making it look like a large number of people are buying an investment when that is actually not the case. Fraudsters might use social media also to lure investors into a variety of schemes, including crypto investment scams and romance scams. Investments in crypto asset securities can be exceptionally volatile and speculative. And the platforms where investors buy, sell, borrow, or lend these securities may lack important protections for investors. The risk of loss for individual investors who participate in transactions involving crypto assets, and that includes crypto asset securities, remain high. One thing I would want people to take away today is the only money you should put at risk with any high risk investment is money you can afford to lose entirely. Now, some promoters use social media to find and entice new investors with testimonials about returns made on deposits and investments. But what is not mentioned is that the promoter is often paying investor withdrawals out of the new investor funds. This is also known as a Ponzi scheme, right? And recovering money from wrongdoers can be nearly impossible. Like I mentioned, with people using false credentials, it can be difficult to track down those who are responsible, given social media's ability to hide their identities.
Okay, it's very, very. You need to be very, very attuned or a good listener when you're actually dealing with a situation that may possibly be a scam. So now I want to remind our viewers, if you have any questions on social media scams, please type it in the chat section and we'll do our best to get to it live. Now, Anne Marie, older adults are increasingly active on social media, especially Facebook. But there is investment information on social media that can be inaccurate, incomplete, or misleading. What are some of the red flags that our viewers should look out for?
Sure. As with any other type of investment product, if an investment opportunity sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So, for example, promises of high returns with little or no risk are things that you should be wary of.
Okay.
When you're interacting with people over social media, or even if it's email, look for slight variations or typos in senders' accounts names or profiles, or other signs that the sender might be an imposter. Another thing to look out for are romance scams through apps and websites. They've been increasingly pervasive as fraudsters take advantage of anonymity to mask their deceptive intentions. So do not invest money based on advice from someone you've solely met online or through an app. Another thing a red flag to look out for is don't share any information relating to your, if someone's asking for information on your personal finances or personally identifying information, and that includes your brokerage account information, your bank account information, tax forms, credit cards, social security numbers, even like passports or driver's license or your birth date.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you a sense of how these scams typically work is that a fraudster establishes an online relationship with a victim through, say, a dating app or other social media site. And the fraudster will gain the victim's confidence and trust, and then claim to know about a lucrative crypto asset investment or some other trading opportunity. The fraudster will then direct the victim to a fraudulent website or app. And after the victim invests and sees a purported profit, the website or app will allow the victim to withdraw a small amount of money. This is often used to further gain victims' trust. Makes people feel like they can take out their money whenever they want. But then the fraudster will instruct the victim to invest larger amounts and will convey some sort of like urgency on the timing for the investment. When the victim tries to withdraw funds again, or tries to withdraw a larger amount of funds, the victim is instructed to pay additional funds, sometimes claiming taxes or fees need to be paid, or there's a minimum account balance must be met. And then when the victim can no longer pay the additional funds or stops paying, the fraudster stops communicating with the victim. And unfortunately, the victim cannot get the money back at that point.
Actually, I was on vacation and visiting a relative. She's 90, will be 91 soon. And she was telling me, and her daughter was there at the time, telling me that she was scammed with gift cards. They called her to say that her daughter was in danger. And she didn't call her daughter because she reacted quickly to the conversation she was having with that person on the other line. And the other person told her to buy gift cards in $500 values. And ended up losing their money because they did ask her to scratch and give them the code. So she felt really bad about it. I told her, don't feel guilty about that. I mean, these are not good people that are doing these things, but so I can relate to it. I know someone that actually has experienced that. In the case of actually getting emails that look legit, but they're not a website, that I've actually have experienced myself as well. So you really have to be like paying attention because things can look very, very similar to what you normally receive, but there's something different about it. So I'm always questioning. Even if I get an email and they say something's wrong with your account, I will call that vendor.
Yeah.
So many things that you hear in the news and through ARP, that all this information that we're getting, that you got to be again in tune and always alert to this.
Yeah, and you always have to click on. I get those emails too from like reset your Amazon account, and when you click to see who it's from some random email that's not from Amazon, and they make it look with the logos as if it came from.
Yeah, and then I get texts as well that are not legit. I know. And then also I get phone calls at home, and it sometimes actually has my name coming up on the display. And actually they changed the exchange code on the phone. So they've got all kinds of ways of trying to get to people and create bad situations. Now, Anne-Marie, criminals often turn to atypical payment options in their scams like gift cards, like I had mentioned, peer-to-peer payment apps, and cryptocurrency, because these forms of payment are processed quickly and cannot be reversed. So, and that's the case with the relative that I knew. Once she lost the money, she lost the money. There's nothing that can be done. A new AARP report found that 1/3 of adults do not even know that it's a scam when someone directs them to use a cryptocurrency ATM to address some financial concerns. In 2022 alone, the FBI reported losses from fraud involving cryptocurrency that reached $2.57 billion, which is a 183% increase from the previous year. Now, Marie, can you explain how fraudsters are using cryptocurrency scams on social media?
Sure. And I'll be speaking to, crypto asset scams that deal with securities. As you mentioned, there could be other kinds of scams that wouldn't impact something that we deal with at the Securities and Exchange Commission, such as what you're talking about, getting these fraudulent gift cards and things like that, that would be more dealt with on a criminal prosecutor level. But fraudsters may try to exploit investors' fear of missing out to lure investors on social media into crypto investment scams. So crypto assets are marketed using a variety of terms, including digital assets, cryptocurrencies, coins, and tokens. They are promises of high investment returns with little or no risk, which I mentioned earlier is a sure red flag. Those are classic warning signs of fraud. Fraudsters may post fabricated historical returns on their websites showing high investment returns.
Mm-hmm.
But depictions of investment accounts that are rapidly increasing in value and providing large returns are often fake. It's also important not to be swayed by testimonials or celebrity endorsements when making an investment decision. I think this has kind of always been the case, but we were seeing it a lot with crypto assets recently, that fraudsters sometimes pay people, for example, actors posing as ordinary people who've turned millionaires, or social media influencers and celebrities to promote an investment on social media. So as an example of this, recently the SEC announced charges against former NBA Hall of Famer Paul Pierce for touting the EMAX tokens, which are crypto asset securities that were offered and sold by Ethereum Max on social media. And Mr. Pierce didn't disclose the payment he received for the promotion, and also was charged with making false and misleading promotional statements about the same crypto asset. Now, the SEC's order found that Pierce failed to disclose he was paid more than almost $250,000 worth of EMAX tokens to promote the tokens on Twitter. And the SEC's order also found that Pierce tweeted misleading statements relating to EMAX, including tweeting a screenshot of an account showing large holdings and profits without disclosing that his own personal holdings were in fact much lower than those that were displayed in the screenshot.
Yeah, you see these people and you kind of trust them, right? Because you see them doing good things in their careers or whatever they do and doing their life. And then you see this happening. It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
So Anne-Marie, where can someone actually go to get either more information regarding this or to report this type of scam?
Sure. So the SEC maintains a website. It's at www.investor.gov and provides resources to educate people about investment professionals and products.
Mm-hmm.
You can and should use this website to check the background of anyone seeking to sell you an investment. And also there are helpful alerts and bulletins about investing. So for example, you can type in an investment professional's name and get their background, employment history, licensing status, and as well as any prior disciplinary history. In addition, investor.gov also has hundreds of timely investor alerts and bulletins on emerging risks to investors, fraudulent tactics, and investment topics, as well as a page that's dedicated to seniors. Also, and I can't emphasize this enough, similar to the instance you had with the 90-year-old that you knew who were with the gift cards, you should never be embarrassed or afraid to complain. If you suspect fraud or some questionable practices and the explanations that you receive are not satisfactory, don't let embarrassment or concern that you'll be judged incapable of handling your own affairs prevent you from filing a complaint with the SEC. You can call the SEC for help at 800-732-0330. I'll repeat that number one more time, 800-732-0330. There are also, if you're online, you can also lodge complaints that way as well.
Okay, so that's good that they have the investor website. So let's say, for example, they say they are an investing company, and is there another source that you can get information on? Like sometimes when I question something, I go to the Better Business Bureau just in case, because they may say they're an investor, but in fact they may not be on the site because don't know how that site gets updated. So is the BBB another site that we can actually use to check on?
Well, like I said, on investor.gov, you can punch in, and the SEC's general website, you can punch in to see whether a particular person is registered to sell securities. And then you can also look up, company names and things like that to see whether they're registered with the SEC.
Okay.
But you're right, there are other means in which to do that. FINRA and other state regulators also have websites where you may be able to check information.
Okay, that's great. Now, as we're wrapping up our conversation, which this has been very, very good. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything else about cryptocurrency, social media scams that we may have missed?
Sure. Look, fraudsters continue to exploit the rising popularity of crypto assets to lure retail investors into scams and often leading to devastating losses for investors. Crypto asset security related investments continue to be replete with fraud, including bogus coin offerings, Ponzi and pyramid schemes, and outright theft where a promoter simply disappears with an investor's money. There are some important things to remember in order to protect yourself. So don't be pressured to act quickly. Take your time to research an investment thoroughly before handing over your money. Don't have this, fall prey to you're going to miss out on an opportunity. And I would say also don't invest in something you don't understand. As we were talking about, you should check the background of anyone selling or offering you an investment and confirm whether they're registered or licensed. Definitely carefully review all materials about an investment opportunity and ask questions. Questions you can ask are, is the seller licensed? Is that investment registered? How do the risks compare with potential rewards? Even things as simple as, what does it say your money is going to be used for? And just also remember, never feel pressured to buy an investment right away. It can be tempting to jump on the bandwagon and follow whatever the crowd seems to be doing on social media. But sometimes following the crowd might lead you to fall victim to an investment scam. So please be careful.
Now, Anne-Marie, this is all great information. So I'll go to the investor website to get information of whether or not that investor is registered and other things as well. But all these things that you've listed for us to be aware and question and challenge and all these great things, will we find those type of things as well alerts on that investor website?
Yes, you will.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So thank you again for joining us today, Anne-Marie. For our viewers, if you are concerned you've been scammed, you can reach a trained volunteer at the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 877-908-3360. Again, that's 877-908-3360. If you'd like more information and resources on fraud and scams from AARP New Jersey, please visit aarp.org/NJ-Fights-Fraud. Again, that's aarp.org/NJ-Fights-Fraud. If you're interested in learning about free fun events, special offers, and the latest news from AARP, text the word yes to email to 50757. Again, that's the word yes, the number 2, email to 50757 to receive a one-time text message from AARP with a link to sign up for emails and learn more about what AARP has to offer. Please note that message and data rates may apply. Now, we hope you've learned something new today, because I have, and it's just reinforced what I've always thought to always be looking out for about how you can stay safe from fraud and scams, and hope you tune into our next Facebook Live. Thank you again and have a good day.